Iran's foreign minister Abbas Araghchi says his country is ready for dialogue to resolve tension with the United States. This is as the threat of a U.S. attack mounts, but there are yet no concrete plans for talks. Abbas told reporters during a joint news conference with the Turkish foreign minister Hakan Fidan in Istanbul that Iran is ready for fair and equitable negotiations. Mr. Araghchi added that for such negotiations to take place, arrangement must first be made regarding the lines of discussions, the topic, and where it will be held. The foreign minister also made it clear that Iran is ready for negotiations, just as it is also ready for war in this case. Let's have this conversation with global affairs analyst Ejike Okpa. It's good to have you join us at this time. Let's start with how credible, Iran's stated readiness for dialogue is, while also, preparing for war with their equipment and also the military trainings that we've seen in the past few days.
Well, last week or earlier this week, Mr. President Trump had said that Iran has been reaching out to his office and wanting to talk. Obviously, Iran, has done its own internal assessment and see it's not going to benefit them if they were to engage in a war or a serious military attack. So, but while they're doing that, they also have to get themselves ready in case the diplomatic channels fail. So that's where we are. I don't think anybody's is interested in a war because at the end of the day, a bunch of people are going to die, properties are going to be, destroyed, especially when, the war is lopsided in the favor of America more than Iran. So it's to their own interest and that interest of those people in their own country to say, hey, let's talk and see if we can resolve this.
Not yet confirmed, but President Trump's use of military pressure amid reports that he may likely authorize a strike within the coming days on Iran. Does this seem like a genuine pathway that you would advise for negotiation, or it increases the risk of miscalculation?
All of the above. Like I said, the channel for communication is open. It is who takes advantage of it and who is serious, to come to table and say, hey, we are committed to this. We want you. What is it that is of concern to you, so that we can, address it and address in such a way that you'll be pleased and we'll be pleased and we go away, or everybody goes away, a win-win situation. But it's just when ego gets in the place of reasonable conversation, then you expose yourself to, an attack or a war that at the end of the day, you're going to lose. Iran can bring war into America, but America can take war into Iran, because they have both the air power, they have ground forces, they have, collaboration of, countries that are going to join them, to inflict, seriousness on it in Iran. So all of those things, again, things can change in a matter of minutes. So the president is open to dialogue. Iran is showing willingness to do it. But the question is, are they really going to commit to whatever comes to be the agreement at the end of the day?
We've seen Iran insisting that they will not be placing their missile or defense capabilities on the negotiating table. But in this case, if Iran was to negotiate with the United States, what do you think will really be brought to the table?
Well, I mean, there's always a bone of contention, and what that contention is, America has made it clear from Jump Street, Iran cannot develop their nuclear forces, nuclear power, such that it can be used, to develop weapons. But Iran keep insisting that this is a civilian thing, is a peaceful thing. But if it's civilian, why are you hiding it under bunkers? Why are you building it in underground in such a way that nobody can get access to it? But so it's one of those, I want to, have a dialogue, but at the same time, I'm hiding critical information that will even make the dialogue meaningful. So at the end of the day, again, it's, what America feels comfortable with and what Iran is willing to put to the table. If they don't put to the table something that makes America feel comfortable, obviously they're going to get attacked. And when they get attacked, I don't think it's going to be good for them because, this time around, it may be very devastating. Trump is not the kind of president that pulls back when he says, I'm going to do something. He's just going to go do it. And then, of course, there's going to be a reaction, plus or minus. Iranians are unhappy with their own leadership. And so they two are going to be collaborating in any way to take out the leadership, where the Ayatollah, whether it's in Iran or whether it's in another foreign country. It is just a shame that you can expose your country people to war, and when the push comes to shove, you're going to run away and let everybody else die. That's not what leaders are supposed to do. Leaders are supposed to be in front of what they believe in and defend their country and protect their own people.
I mean, some have said the pressure that Iran has faced in the past few years, especially from the West, if it was another nation, perhaps it would have fallen. Now we're seeing Iran saying that it is ready for peace and war if necessary. What exactly do you think would be the outcome of this if a war were actually to happen?
Of course, if a war were to happen, you've had this expression, the elephant and the grass. I mean, what are the chances the grass is going to really damage the elephant? It's going to be trampled upon. Yes, Iran has put up some level of resistance, but at the end of the day, Iran is very struggling. Majority of their people are very unhappy. So, the only pride a nation has to have is that its own people are happy with its own leadership. When your own leadership is doing things to undermine majority of the people, then there's nothing to be happy about. There's no success there. The resilience doesn't matter. Resilience makes sense when you are doing something and your people are rallying behind you. Your citizens are rallying behind your leadership. As you have seen in the past week, you've seen the riot. You see a whole lot of people, getting killed. A lot of people getting, arrested and locked up. That's not good for Iran. But this history of Iran and America has been on since 1953. And then when the Shah left in 1972, it hasn't been peaceful for Iran. But you look at these terms and then you start to think, how can we bring an end to this? Yes, America may not successfully, win every war they've been engaged in, but they will cause you enough damage that it's going to be hard for you to emerge, and that is what Iran is trying to do. Take the resources of building a nuclear power to do the infrastructure, to support your people. At the end of the day, if you build this weapon system, and who are you going to use it? You're going to be tempted to use it, and then when you're tempted to use it, you're going to see that you're going to get foreign aggression. That's not good for you. I'll give you an example. The country of Costa Rica is one country in the world that doesn't have any military. They disbanded their military and took all that money to build their civilian population. And today, Costa Rica has 98% literacy, has the highest literacy in the world. So, countries have to come to terms with their own strength, and what is it you want your citizens to be known for? It's not just, wagging your finger to the world, and at the end of the day, you can stand up to any fight.
I mean, some will say it may be the United States also in this case, because Iran is also a strong nation. But we're also looking at perhaps what the military and strategic, calculations of President Donald Trump's decision whether to authorize an attack or a strike in this case, after he has briefed the U.S. allies. But in this case, what do you think President Trump is really considering from the standpoint of the United States?
Well, I mean, I don't speak for the president. The president has made his case known, and that is Iran, stop what you're doing, or this is what's going to happen. So he's left every door open, and Iran he's made a request to want to engage. But the president is also being suspicious. If I talk to these people, are we really going to get into something that makes sense, or is it just going to be one of those things for them, Iran to buy time? The president has, he has the right to make a decision, and that decision can be made in a minute, because he's obviously positions American resources around Iran, and all he has to do is flip a switch and say, go for it, and boom, we see what happened. He's seen how Iranian military people have been taken out, easily. And I mean, what does that tell you? It's not just having your ground forces. Yeah, America's strength is both air and ground. You know, they have some of the most sophisticated weapon system in the world. As you could see what happened in Colombia, you know, I mean, Venezuela, you know, they beat all that chest. At the end of the day, their president was picked up and nobody, Americans' life was lost. So, you know, in today's world, in 21st century, war doesn't have to be, combat, hand fist. It's done by weapon system. And who else has the weapon system? America does. You know, your efforts can be crippled because a lot of the fighter jets, is built by America. So even if they sell it to you, they can sit in one room and incapacitate those, planes and they cannot take off. So these are things what countries have to look at. And before I said, focus on making your country people happy with you. You may not get everybody happy, but get majority happy. The happiness doesn't have to be around the people the people around the leadership that are benefiting. No, it's the majority of the people. Where are 90% of Iranians are today? How are they feeling about their own leadership? That's the test. It's not the few that are able to hop in a plane or hide and go live in another country while encouraging everybody else to get on the street and fight. No, make them happy so that when some of these things begin to happen, they too can step up and rally for you. Today, they want Iran government to collapse. Iranians do. It's not just anybody else. Iranians want their people to collapse. I mean, their leadership.
We wait out to see what the outcome of this will be, especially the decision of the United States in this case. That's a fine place to leave it for now. Global Affairs Analyst Ejike Okpa, thank you for joining us.
Well, thank you for having me.